it has been a crazy day already. It's in the morning and I have my keto coffee. Oops, wrong way. Keto coffee, Elizabeth Walker, .itworks.com. ElizabethWalker.itworks.com, right? It's been such a crazy morning. I was supposed to get up because my mom wanted me to go to her house and my father. My mom wanted me to go to the house to, and early this morning, and I didn't get up in time to do that. So it's been kind of crazy because I've been, class started at 8, then I was like, okay, well, since the kids are going to be here, but my kids' stuff is all at my mom's house, and then this is, my morning class, as someone started complaining about, like, my kids making noise in the background, which, I'm not going to fault her for doing it, and it's a legitimate concern. But the problem is that I'm working from home and I got kids, and it's like I can try to tell them to be quiet, and that's great, and it sometimes works, but a lot of times it doesn't. And you know this because you've been watching my videos. I try to get them to be to sit down and listen, but they're kids. They're 8. She turned 8 yesterday, as you know, and 5. They're not always as cooperative as I would like to be, as I would like for them to be. So it's, look, it's frustrating. I'm frustrated. And so it's kind of like, when you, unfortunately, when you have, typically when you work from home, when you teach a class and I don't have to actually be in person, see my interruptions? When you actually work from home, when you work someplace and I physically don't have to be there, and I physically have to be there, then you don't have to deal with my classic interruptions like my son over here bugging me about a butter croissant. Okay, eat the first one. I ate it. Okay, well, I'll make another one. Then then you don't have to see it. But unfortunately, we're in a pandemic and you're going to have to see it. So, like, I'm even supposed to be getting evaluated. And I'm like, how are you evaluating somebody in the middle of a pandemic? I could have sworn that the union was stepping in. It's just, to me, it's just kind of crazy. And this leads me to say, talk about my, what do I want to talk about? Oh, so people are still mumbling about the versus battle. So me and my friend my sorority sister on Facebook, we battling it out, right? Because I'm such, what I discovered, and one of my friends, he made a comment about the versus battle. He gave this deep analysis. What I've really discovered is that, number one, if you are a team Brandy person, then you're going to stay in the team Brandy person. If you're a team Monica person, you're going to stay in the team Monica person. But, which, I'm team Monica. But I can acknowledge the fact that both of them had great song selections last night. And so therefore, I just give it a draw. I'm not going to go and say that team Monica, and just say Monica did like this, super whatever. But I would have discovered this, and this is where she has to kind of even admit, is that I've heard all of Monica's albums. I've heard all of Brandy's albums, but I actually purchased all of Monica's albums. And so that leads me to the conclusion of like her music that she played last night was not new. Only one song was actually two songs was one song was new that just came out. Another song is newish, but that was last year. So again, like if you're not that's why I just kind of laugh when people make comments about the Sideline Ho song. I'm just like, new? That being new? That's like 3 albums ago. Like the makings of Monica. Um. Anyway, I'm off that. But I will say that I did not mention before is Kamala Harris opened it out. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Pipe, pipe. Here's the thing about Kamala Harris. Clearly, I'm biased, but I definitely wanted to start using this space to talk about Kamala Harris. And one thing that I'm going to say something that she did a direct impact. She sued this. She was the attorney general, and she sued for these for-profits to kind of go out of business. She said, and one of the biggest ones that she sued was Everest College. She said that Everest College was doing a disservice to their students. It's the Corinthian colleges, and essentially put them out of business. I'm going to give you a story. It directly affected me in the sense that I worked for ITT College. And I did it for, really out of necessity. It was just a job. And even though ethically I have a problem with for-profits, and I would not suggest anyone go to a for-profit, one of the reasons why I was okay with ITT College, was because I actually did see students' lives actually improving, but it only depended on the major. See, ITT College was the first that did computer science and incorporated computer science into its major, right? And so they were one of the first. Can y'all? Shh. See, this is what I'm talking about. Hey! Be quiet! Do you see what I'm saying? These kids need to go to school. Okay. Community, anyway, so they went to the community, so computer science. The rest of the higher ed did not accept the community, computer science, and didn't think of it as a discipline. And so this is the reason why it's been in this juxtapose. And now we have accepted it as a discipline, but this is the reason why ITT Tech was able to kind of flourish, because they had a niche that other people weren't willing to do. And so then they built this reputation for producing a lot of computer science, electrical engineering kind of people. And so a lot of them would get jobs. Now, I never understood, even when I was teaching, why somebody would go there and be a business major and be, I could understand project management, because in Southern California, project management is one of those disciplines that you can't find. So that's another issue. But as a whole, it is. Today's a really frustrating day, and I'm trying not to let it frustrate me, guys. Anyway, my story. Gotcha. So when I had my daughter, I was pregnant. When I was pregnant when I first got hired, and I don't want to say hid my pregnancy, but I kind of did. I was in all black. You couldn't tell that I was pregnant. And I had a girl who First of all, ITT Tech's policy is that you cannot sit while you teach. And then you had one break. And so if I'd work from 6 to 10, so I'd actually have to teach for an hour and a half without sitting. And then I'd sit for like 20, 25 minutes. But I'd have to make phone calls in order to see who didn't come, why didn't you come, how can I help, that kind of a thing. And then after that, I sat down again. Then I had to stand for the rest of the half a class. And so one day I didn't come to class because I thought that I was going into labor. New mother, you always think you're going into labor before you going into labor. And I had a young lady who gave me a report saying that I need to keep my personal life personal. Interestingly enough, because I missed one day of class while I was 9 months pregnant. Interestingly enough, that same young lady had to drop out of school because she had complications with her pregnancy. This is why I don't shade people when it comes to being pregnant and having kids, because it's a struggle, and I understand that I can relate to that. And I don't like to impose my struggle on other people, so I always feel guilty when I have to. Number 2, ITT Tech. So I went into labor on August 30th, which was the day of class, and I tried my best to deal with the contractions because it was finals day and I wanted everybody to finish their final. And then some of the guys were like, go home. So I'm grading the finals, I'm trying to grade, and I'm just wincing in pain in the middle of it, and I needed to take attendance and I just couldn't take the pain anymore. And so they're like, well, we can call an ambulance. And I was like, no, I need to go to my hospital because that's 15. And I started adding up the amount of money that would be if I have to, because Kaiser, they'll take me to the nearest hospital and then they'll transfer me to another so that's 2 ambulance rides. I did not want that bill. And they probably wouldn't pay for the first one. So I was like, okay, no, I could drive. So I walked immensely slow to the car, right? And somebody walked with me. Get all the way in the car. Lock up. I drove to my house to pick up Henry. And Henry drove me to the hospital, okay? I get to the hospital. I refused a wheelchair. I walked ever so slowly up into the hospital. He parked, came back, and I was still walking. Because a wheelchair ride is $750. And I didn't want to pay that every time you sit your butt in a wheelchair. So I get up to the wheelchair. So I get up finally, I get upstairs. I'm about to, go through the process. I am in labor. I got the epidural, right? I get a phone call. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the hospital. Get a phone call from my dean. Hey, you didn't put your attendance in. And, you need to put your attendance in and finalize your grades. Now, he knows that I was going to the hospital because he saw me go to the hospital. The next day, my baby comes at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:08. Next day, hey, you need to put your attendance in. I just want to leave you a voicemail to put your attendance in. I hadn't even left the hospital yet. Sunday. So this happened, so it was Friday night, Saturday. She came on a Saturday. The place was closed on Monday because it's Labor Day. I had to drive in on Tuesday in order to do my attendance and grades. But by that time, because it's been 3 days, I had to fill in all of the paperwork for grade changes and attendance changes and all this other stuff. Because they're like, you can do it from home. I didn't have to do it. But because of the fact that it's been 3 days, I didn't do it from home. I had to go into the office and do all these grade changes and do a bunch of paperwork. And one of the full-time people there was like, didn't you just have a baby? Why are you here? And I was like, well, I'm here because my baby's at home with my husband. And my husband was freaking out, like, you can't go to work. The baby's 3 days old. What are we supposed to do? And I was like, well, do you not hear? He was highly upset that this guy was calling in the middle of my labor twice. He called twice on Friday in the middle of labor, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. And you know, that's ITT Tech, and you know, it I mean, I like them as people. That's, you know, I didn't dislike anybody that I worked with. Actually, I actually liked working there, and the pay was astronomically lower than anybody else, but you get paid every 2 weeks. I was making like $25 an hour, $27 an hour is the highest I ever got. Astronomically lower when it comes to anybody else. And then they want you to teach like a bazillion. There's no cap on how many classes they want you to teach. It was a lot of work. I mean, in the sense of trying to keep up with everything. It was a lot of work. Well, now they're suing. Finally, it's been quite some time, but now there's a lawsuit for faculty who's been, because you know what happens to these schools is that they lock you out. And I knew it was coming, and I was trying to tell students that if you do have any units, ITT Tech, take them to University of Laverne, because University of Laverne is the only nonprofit that'll take it. But the writing was on the wall because Kamala Harris was going after all of these for-profits and trying to close them down. It's just that for the first time, ITT Tech has been immune to it, and out of all of the other for-profits outside the University of Phoenix, ITT Tech has had some level of success. Everest didn't have that same level of success, so I could see why they needed to go away. But it's so